Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome, everyone. If you are a project manager, a commercial contractor, or a facility director operating out here in the Centennial State, well, you know firsthand that the environment isn't just some pretty background for your operations. It's a primary business variable. Today, our explainer is locked in on one critical goal: mastering this extreme weather by utilizing some really smart, localized, proactive strategies from one-source rentals. We're going to look exactly at how you can transform climate control from a panicked, reactive emergency into a strategic, scalable asset. So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start by unpacking the Colorado climate paradox. Next, we'll look at beating sub-zero shutdowns, followed by cooling and air management. Then we're going to explore the financial shift of access over ownership, check out the logistical lifeline, and finally help you solidify your climate control strategy. Let's get right to it. All right, Section 1. The Colorado climate paradox, from 90 degrees to sub-zero. Now, if you manage a job site or a sensitive facility anywhere from the Front Range to deep in the Rockies, you already know the daily, honestly frustrating struggle of wild meteorological extremes. We call this the Colorado climate paradox. It's essentially a condition of extreme volatility where high elevation atmospheres cause rapid, severe temperature shifts that completely halt operations. We're not just talking about needing to grab a light jacket in the afternoon, right? We are talking about environments where a beautiful 90-degree afternoon in the Denver metro area can literally plummet into a sub-zero freeze by dawn. That kind of volatility poses a massive, massive risk to your project timelines, your material integrity, and ultimately your bottom line. Which brings us to a critical question you really need to ask yourself right now. Is your operational strategy built for the climate you have today, or the climate that is inevitably coming tomorrow? Because, let's be real, if you're relying on reactive stopgap fixes the second a sudden snowstorm hits, you're putting your entire project in jeopardy. So let's look at how to build a truly proactive solution to handle this. Moving on to Section 2, beating sub-zero shutdowns, heating technology and application. When winter hits hard, just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best isn't going to keep your workforce safe or your materials viable. You absolutely need specialized, heavy-duty heating equipment. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is matching the tech to the exact application. If you're in an open construction zone, a direct-fired heater running on propane or natural gas is going to give you highly portable, 100% efficient heat. But if you're in an enclosed space or maybe hosting an event, you absolutely need an indirect-fired heater that uses ducting to keep the combustion completely separate from the air you're breathing. For indoor pest control, temporary offices, or sensitive server rooms, electric heaters are the way to go. Safe, moisture-free heat with zero ventilation required. And for those combustible or highly volatile sites, like oil and gas refineries, flameless diesel heaters are your mandatory go-to. Speaking of those flameless heaters, just think about this number: 1.2 million. That is the massive BTU output that these towable flameless units can pump out. Because they generate heat through mechanical friction, meaning literally no open flame, they are the absolute gold standard for safety. But there's actually a counterintuitive benefit here too. These self-contained units provide incredible sound abatement. So if you're operating an off-grid mountain site or working in a super noise-sensitive urban zone in Denver, these heavy-duty units deliver safe, remarkably quiet heat exactly where the electrical grid simply can't reach. But hey, what happens when the very ground beneath your boots is locked in solid ice? In places like Fort Collins or Colorado Springs, frozen earth usually dictates a mandatory seasonal shutdown. Well, that is exactly where ground-thaw technology completely changes the game. Using high-capacity hose reels, these tri-fuel-capable units circulate hotted fluid over thousands of square feet. It's wild. This lets contractors actually unlock frozen earth for excavation and make sure concrete cures at the exact chemical temperature window required. It's practically a secret weapon to keep your project forging ahead while everyone else is just packed up for the winter. Section 3. Cooling and air management, beyond just temperature. Now, as we all know, Colorado isn't just about the extreme cold. We also have to manage the thin, dry air and the extreme summer heat. But before we deploy any climate control, we have to follow a strict safety protocol, because high-energy output equipment brings serious risks. Step 1 is verifying indoor suitability. Only electric or indirect-fired units are safe for enclosed occupancy. Step 2, establishing technical venting to move clean air in and exhaust the combustion out. Step 3 is maintaining strict safety clearances from anything flammable. And Step 4, this is absolutely crucial, ensuring strict fuel fidelity. You have to use the exact fuel type specified for that unit. Mixing fuels or ignoring fuel fidelity isn't just a simple maintenance oopsie, it is a lethal carbon monoxide and fire hazard. Once we know safety is locked in, we can look at specific air management tools. Portable AC units are critical for high-heat server rooms. Think about those data centers out in Grand Junction, where a sudden temperature spike means immediate hardware failure. Then you've got industrial air scrubbers, vital for high-dust construction zones in Pueblo. They remove airborne particles to make sure the environment is legally and operationally breathable. Dehumidifiers control moisture, which is absolutely essential during restoration projects in Boulder to prevent mold growth and structural damage. And of course, ventilation fans keep airflow moving in enclosed spaces. This equipment isn't just for comfort, it actively protects worker safety and material integrity. All right, Section 4, Access over Ownership, the Paradigm Shift. We've talked a lot about physical equipment, but there's a massive paradigm shift happening in how smart businesses actually acquire this technology. So the crucial point is comparing these business models. Look at ownership. It requires a heavy upfront capital expenditure, right? It forces you to pay off-season storage costs for massive units that literally just sit idle half the year. Plus, you bear the burden of all the expensive ongoing maintenance. Versus access, or renting from a localized provider like OneSource Rentals. This completely shifts your climate control into a scalable operating expense. You have zero maintenance burden, and you get the exact, perfectly tuned equipment for whatever specific, fleeting season you're dealing with. Tying up your capital in depreciating heavy machinery, it's just no longer a necessity. Honestly, it's a strategic liability. And you know, this shift is fully validated by industry data. Just as OneSource Rentals points out, there is a massive, growing preference among contractors, property managers, and businesses for rental equipment simply because of the cost-effectiveness and convenience. Smart businesses are staying agile. They might deploy ground thaw heaters in January and then totally pivot to portable AC units in July, paying only for the exact capacities they need, exactly when they need them. Section 5. The Logistical Lifeline, Power and Fuel Continuity. Now, having the absolute best climate control strategy in the world is completely useless if the equipment loses power mid-project. When you're operating at high altitudes up in the Rockies, you face a very real physics problem called engine derating. Because there are lower oxygen levels in that thin mountain air, internal combustion engines actually lose horsepower and efficiency. It's a real issue. But OneSource Rentals solves this by providing specially tuned, or oversized, generators built to provide the exact kilowatt output required at altitude. And they pair this with integrated multi-fuel delivery routes. So whether it's diesel, propane, or natural gas, their delivery routes make sure your equipment stays fueled up even if you are working right through a sudden massive snowstorm deep in places like Steamboat. This kind of logistical support is driven by a strict zero downtime mandate. And that's perfectly represented by this number, 24/7. Catastrophic server room crashes or sudden deep freezes, they don't happen on a convenient 9-to-5 schedule. You demand an immediate, round-the-clock safety net. A national call center sitting 1,000 miles away simply does not have the localized knowledge to navigate a sudden Rocky Mountain weather event. That's exactly why OneSource Rentals maintains a 24/7 localized emergency response team. Finally, Section 6, your climate control strategy, partnering with local experts. Okay, let's talk about how you can instantly upgrade your operational resilience. And this brilliantly illustrates their approach. To completely bypass Denver Metro traffic bottlenecks during time-sensitive failures, OneSource Rentals has strategically divided their territory straight out of their Aurora headquarters. You get hyper-localized support. Josh Wojciechowski oversees the I-70 North Corridor, while Kevin Thomas manages the I-70 South Corridor. This divide-and-conquer strategy guarantees rapid emergency response times and a concierge level of technical assessment that out-of-state providers simply cannot match. So what is your next step? Please, don't wait for the next catastrophic weather shift to catch you off guard. Reach out to the OneSource Rentals team today to lock in a proactive climate strategy that is tailored to your exact job site footprint. Give them a call directly at 970-680-5086. Or if you're local, swing by their headquarters at 2022 Helena St in Aurora, Colorado. You can also visit them online at onesourcerentals.com/location/Colorado, or just check out their Google business profile for more insights. I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought. In a state where the weather can literally shift 40 degrees in a single afternoon, will you let extreme weather dictate your bottom line, or will you control the climate? By choosing access over ownership and by partnering with local experts who truly understand the altitude and the elements, you ensure your operations are resilient, safe, and ready for absolutely anything. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay proactive out there.